Let's talk about web development. So either it be front end or back end, web development is an essential skill in software development world, and it is one of the most in-demand skills in the industry. Hi, my name is Darshan and I provide software development services to businesses and professionals, and I also create videos to provide better perspective on a complex topics in the simplest manner. So you can visit this link if you want to know more about me. Now the purpose of this video is to not explain you the step-by-step guide for web development because it's easy to figure out. The purpose of making this video is to explain you the core and basic principles of each part of web development, either it be front end or back end. So after watching this video, you will clearly understand that why we learn what we learn while going through web development journey. So when I started my web development journey, one thing that I understand was that there are plethora of frameworks and libraries now available in the web development journey, and you can easily get confused and lost into it that how you should start. But regardless of this new evolution and continuous changes in the web development field, the core concepts and the basic part of starting with web development journey is same as it was before. So if your basics and core concepts about web developments are clear, and if you know that whichever part is used in your website, why it is used and what is the background purpose of it, then you can easily take out any library or any framework whenever you need it as per your requirement and market demands, and you can easily learn it in least possible time. So let's first understand the difference between web app and website. So in the web development world, there are basically two solutions that you can build. One is web app and second one is website. So when we talk about web app, any portal or any web link where user can interact with it is called as a web app. For example, social media sites, e-commerce stores, any admin panel which is customly built for a business to manage the system pipeline. These all are the examples of web app where user can actually interact with the website and user can perform some sort of actions. But when we talk about website, it simply means displaying a static content on a web portal or a web link. So as you can see, there is relatively a drastic difference between these two words, and these two words should be used consciously whenever you're talking about web development. So as you got the context now between these two words, you can easily understand that the learning journey and the building curve between these two words, website and web app, will be relatively different. Now usually when people start their journey in web development, they usually start with building websites because it's relatively easy. But you can also start with web app if you can take up complex concepts in a least possible time and if you can able to implement it into your projects. Now in today's world, we have multiple options to start our building journey with website or a web app. Some of them are coding ways and some of them are non-coding ways. So let's understand both of them in this video. So now let's first start with the coding ways. Now coding ways are the main and foolproof ways to build any website or web app, and unlike non-coding ways, coding ways were used from generations to build any website and any web app. And eventually with the evolution in web development field, now from few years back, we have this option to build any website from non-coding way. But before that, any website or any web app used to build from scratch, and it used to relatively take more time as compared to non-coding ways. So to understand coding ways and to understand each technology linked with the coding ways, we have to first understand the layered technology of any website or any web app. So as you can see in the image, there are mainly three layers or three phases on which any website or any web app works. Let's discuss each layer in detail so that we can understand it more deeply. So let's first understand front-end layer. Now whenever you visit any website, whatever you see on that website, the complete structure of that website, starting from buttons, colors, image, layouts, everything comes under the front-end layer or front-end development. Now, as you can connect the dot that you have ever heard the name front-end development, you can independently become a front-end developer, which is in fact a high demand skill in the market. But no matter how fancy the front-end or how cool the front-end looks, each front-end layer needs a back-end which can support it to be displayed on a screen. You can call it as a provider. Every front-end part or every front-end structure needs a provider, basically a back-end part, which helps it to be displayed onto the screen. This is very simple to understand, and this is all about front-end layer. Now when we talk about your journey to start with the front-end development, it is very easy if we talk about the basics. Although there are many advanced frameworks or libraries available, but the basics and core concepts are same. And if you learn the basics, you can take out any framework or any library as per the demand or as per the market need. So it's very easy. You can start your journey with HTML, which is all about tags and understanding tags. And HTML is all about placing those tags in a a synchronous and proper structured way, the way you want it to be displayed on a screen. Whenever you see a website, there are some buttons, there are some layouts, each button has different colors and all that. So to stylize all that thing, you need a support of CSS. So CSS is all about stylizing your tags with the help of properties used in the CSS. Then you can also learn JavaScript if you want to perform certain steps of action onto your front-end page or onto your front-end layer, which doesn't require any back-end support, and it is kind of a repetitive thing. Then for that you can use JavaScript. Now these were basically the 3 languages that you have to learn to start your journey with front-end development. Now in support of these 3 languages, there are now many options available to basically reduce the pain of writing that each tag or writing that each property. Let's say for HTML you have a library called as Emmet. Now Emmet can be used to skip that writing of each tag and describing that each tag one by one. For CSS you have multiple libraries so that you don't need to describe every property each and every time for every tag. So for that you have multiple libraries in CSS like Tailwind CSS, Materialize CSS, Bootstrap, which is in fact a very famous library, and there are many more. Samely for JavaScript, you have libraries like React.js, Vue.js, AngularJS, and you can learn each of them once you know the basic languages. Once you know all 3 languages, depending upon your use, you can learn each of them and you can build your portfolio more stronger and can become a better front-end developer. Now let's understand second layer, which is back-end layer. So when we talk about back-end development, in comparison to front-end, it is relatively hard to start with. As from earlier example I mentioned, there will be no front-end if there is no provider to display that front-end part onto the screen. So obviously back-end is more important because there is a mere difference when we talk about front-end and back-end, which is a language difference. Because in the front-end development, whatever language we learn are the web scripting language. It is relatively easy to learn, easy to start with, and in least possible time anyone can get familiar with it. But when it comes to back-end, we have to learn full-fledged programming languages, and dealing with proper full-fledged programming language requires you to have a logical mindset and analytical mindset to work with it. Now there are many options to start with back-end development, but there are majorly 3 players, or you can say 3 languages, which are widely used for developing backend of any website or web app. First one is the old school PHP. Now PHP is there in the backend of many websites from decades now. The major part of any government site or any big site, if you talk, is built on a PHP. So that's why even after so many years, there is always a constant requirement of PHP developers into these organizations and companies. So if you're thinking to start simply with a backend developer, start with PHP without any thoughts, because there will never a day in the near future that the requirement of PHP developer will be less or will be eradicated. Now the second one is the most loved one, which is JavaScript. Now first thought that obviously came into my mind that we discussed JavaScript for the front end part, and yes, it was initially developed just to take care of a front end part. But now thanks to many frameworks which are available such as Node.js, Gatsby, Express.js, now we can use JavaScript as a programming language, and it can also be used as a backend part for any website. And when we talk about these stacks like MERN stack, where M stands for MongoDB, which is a database, E stands for Express.js, which is a front-end library, R stands for React.js, which is again a front-end library, and N stands for Node.js. So basically we can build a complete website with single language called as JavaScript. And because of this, people love this language so much that it is now the most widely used when it comes to building new businesses, new portals, new websites, new solutions. JavaScript is always there and will be always there for many decades. And then the third one is a fancy boy, Python. Now again, Python was never been into this territory of web development. It was initially developed just for data science and machine learning field. But again, thanks to some libraries and frameworks, now you can use Python again for building a backend architecture for any of your website or web app. So these frameworks are like Django or Flask, which you can easily learn after learning Python, and you can directly implement into the backend architecture of any of your project. Now the third layer, which is most important and crucial layer, which is database layer. Now when we talk about any website or any web app, which is a public service or any kind of product or solution which is solving a real world problem of users or customers, then there is a huge transaction of data. Tons of data is created, and we need something that can manage this data, that can store this data, and that can provide this data to us whenever we need in the least possible time. And this itself creates database layer into this web world. Now, as you can understand, if you visit any web portal or if you fill any form, and whenever you have used any website to provide any kind of data, the organization or team which is managing that web portal or that website has a huge responsibility to manage that data and to store it efficiently so that it can be used or it can be fetched anytime whenever it is needed in the least possible time. And this makes database layer an integral and important part of web development world. Now there are mainly two technologies which I have used as a database, and these are most widely used and in demand technologies in the market. So the first technology is the traditional one, which is SQL, which is there in the market from many decades now, and there are many web portals, many bigger organizations which are using SQL on a daily basis to manage their data efficiently. Now, although we have many flavors of SQL available in today's market, but the core concept of SQL is same, which is that SQL works on a database scheme or database structure which is called as relational database. So you can go with SQL because as same as PHP, SQL is also there from many decades now, and there will be always a huge demand of people in the market who knows SQL very well. The second one is relatively modern, called as MongoDB. Now unlike SQL, MongoDB works on a different scheme or different database structure, which is a key value pair structure, which is also called as document oriented database. Now today when a new service is getting formed or getting built, MongoDB is more preferred as compared to SQL because it is more advanced, and we have many new features and advanced features to manage our database in MongoDB. But moreover the less, these two technologies are very in-demand technologies in the market, and there will be always be demand of both of them. Start with either one of them, or you can eventually learn both to boost up your portfolio. So now let's talk about non-coding ways. Comparatively, non-coding ways has limited scope of possibilities when we talk about building a customized web app or customized website. Now majorly you can build all types of website, you can build a stunning portfolio using non-coding ways, and you can build an e-commerce store which is a form of web app. But when it comes to building a customized admin panel or any kind of custom service which can be used in a system pipeline of any business, then it is not possible to build it using a non-coding way. You have to go through the full-fledged technologies and databases, and it will relatively take more time as compared to building something using a non-coding way. So by clearing this thought, let's quickly jump onto the tools that you can use to build your website using non-coding way. Now majorly I will discuss two major tools here in detail which I've used many times, and two other tools which I have explored and found out to be useful. Now the first one is Blogger. Now Blogger is also called as Blogspot, and this is the tool provided by Google specially for bloggers. So if you're thinking to create any type of blog, then obviously this is the best tool to start with, but also you can create many types of portfolio website using Blogger. Now when you start with Blogger, you don't need to spend any money into the servers because Google takes care of it. And also when you sign up and create your first blog, you get a free subdomain. So basically you can start your journey with Blogger with absolutely no cost, and it is relatively very easy to start and easy to understand. And even if you have absolutely no coding skills, or even if you have never heard about any programming language or any kind of that stuff, still you can easily start with Blogger. And just for the fact, if you have ever seen my portfolio website, for which I got many response that it looks very professional and cool, it is actually working on Blogger. What I have did is I have attached the custom domain name with it, and I have tried to implement custom coding into the backend, which is an option available into the Blogger when you create your blog. And with help of that, I tried to manage my portfolio website with absolutely no server cost, but at the same time making it very useful with a stunning look. So all you need to start with Blogger is just to have a Google account, and you can easily start with it and you can easily work with it. Now the second tool is WordPress. Now WordPress is there from 2003 in the market, and with continuous improvement and stability, today WordPress holds almost 43% of market share in the website world, which is a huge number. And with WordPress, you can pretty much build any kind of website and many forms of web apps. One of them is e-commerce store, and this is the best and most professional tool when it comes to build website or web app using non-coding ways. But unlike Blogger, when we work with WordPress, you need to have your custom domain name and you need to have your personal hosting or server, because WordPress is all about running that single file script onto a server, which enables you to work with WordPress and to build stuff onto it. So these were the two tools which I majorly use when it comes to non-coding ways, and other two tools which are honorable mentions, and one of them is Wix, which you can say as a blogger on steroids. So when it comes to building a portfolio website or a static website, you can also use Wix as an alternative. And when it comes to building a proper e-commerce store or a shopping store, the another alternative to WordPress is Shopify. So you can also have a look on Shopify if you're thinking to build an online store. And obviously there are many more other solutions and tools available onto the internet, but these were the ones which I've used and explored and found out to be very useful. So if you have watched this video till now, one last suggestion that I like to give you is that after understanding these technologies, start with one of them and start building stuff with it, and eventually we'll get the holistic aspect of each of them, and eventually dots will connect and your understanding in the web development field will become more deeper. So here this video ends, and if you got any value out of this video, or if you learn something new from this video, then surely click that like button and surely share this video with your friends and comment down below your suggestion or which is that technology that you will try and you will build stuff onto. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching and I will see you guys in the next one. Namaste.
Por eso estoy bien acá como apps, para los haters bad. Es que pa' ti no hay, si no eres de aquí no te quieren no. Pero cuando entono los tonitas, me luce bien lunar. No te quedan a ti, son un wannabe, lo quería decir muy real G.